What's going on, everybody? It's your big homie, the Armchair Operator, and welcome to another video. Now, if you're new to my channel, thank you so much for stopping by. If you enjoy the content, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button. Become a part of the family. We would love to have you. If you're coming back to the channel, thank you so much for coming back to the channel. I really do appreciate it, and I hope that you also enjoyed today's content. The whole point of this video is to give you, the viewer, just some information when you're out there making your firearms choices. So in the spirit of EDC, I am going to do a versus between the SIG P365 Fuse and the Smith & Wesson Shield Plus Carry Comp. So usually I do the tabletop portion of the versus first. However, this time I just want to kind of cut to the chase a little bit. I'm pretty sure most people want to see how both firearms compare with one another on the range in terms of performance and reliability. So we're going to start there first, and then once we're finished this portion, we're going to head on over and do the actual tabletop comparison, so that way you can get a more close-up view on each firearm, what they come with, and so on and so forth. All right, so for this particular portion of the video, I have a target here, and we're just going to put some rounds down range. It's kind of hard to convey how something feels in my hands over a camera, but I'm going to do the best I can. But the whole point is to see how they run and which one that I can be a better shot with ultimately. So the target that we have here, we're going to put it up at 5 yards. And we're going to put it out in 10 yards, and essentially the ones with the tightest, most accurate group is going to win this particular part of the versus. All right, so without further ado, let's get that target out there, let's get some rounds loaded up, and let's see which one is going to come out on top. Okay, first up, the SIG P365 Fuse, and we're going to go for the 5-yard targets. I'm gonna do 2 magazines per target. All right, that's the first magazine. One thing I'm gonna say real quick about the SIG Fuse, it's definitely snappy as hell, but the grip is wide enough. It's manageable, I'll put it that way. But anyway, let's try again. Having a full-size grip helps. Basically what I'm driving at. All right, let's speed the cadence up. All right, let's have a look. Now, granted, I sped it up quite a bit, a lot of low. One thing I've noticed about the Fuse is that my shots tend to go low, whether they're center or low left. We all know what low left is. I just kind of attribute that more so to the fact that this is a micro 9. It's slim. I got these big old bear paws, so in my head I gotta remember, make sure I'm driving with the heel of my hand to keep that muzzle up, you know. But let's reset and let's put the Shield Plus Carry Comp up there, and let's see how it does at 5 yards. Okay, next up, the Shield Plus Carry Comp. This time we're going for the target on the top right. Whew. The Shield Plus Carry Comp is definitely stiffer than the Fuse as far as its recoil spring goes. Whoa, didn't expect that one. Okay. Let's check the target. right, so here we are. The groups are wider than that of the Fuse, and I'm not sure if this came from this or if it came from that. I'll have to go back and review the footage on that note. But the Fuse overall has the tighter groups for the most part, but the Shield Plus is softer. Even though it has a stiffer spring, that comp tames that recoil quite a bit. It's easier for me to keep my shots level with the target with the Shield Plus, and I think that's because the grip is wider this way as opposed to the Fuse, which is kind of more round. But even though the Fuse has a longer grip naturally, the Shield Plus just kind of shoots better in the hand. It's strange. So I don't know really how to explain it, but as far as how it feels to shoot, the Shield Plus is a lot easier on the hands. The Shield Plus carry comp specifically is a lot easier on the hands. But anyway, let's reset. Let's get 2 more magazines loaded up for each firearm. Let's put the target at 10 yards and see how they do. All right, we're reset. Target is at 10 yards now. Oh, wait a minute. My bad. Now it's at 10 yards. This time we're going to run some Winchester white box 147 grain to see how these 2 micro 9s handle that particular load. I know I didn't mention it before, but I'm basically running I was running 124 grain full metal jackets the first go around. So let's see what these 147s can do. First up, SIG Fuse. Oh, and real quick, I know the Fuse has a dot, but basically we're just trying to see how they feel as far as shooting goes. Some people might be the ones who say, well, it's not fair, the Fuse has a dot, the M&P doesn't. Yeah, I'm aware of that, but trust me, that doesn't really matter for what I'm trying to score it for, so. Just putting that out there. Jesus. All right, so as you can see, I didn't do too well here with the Fuse at 10 yards. I don't know what it was. I was just having an off day, you know, just a whole lot of low shooting. But that's just kind of what I mean about the Fuse, at least for me. It's just a little difficult to keep those shots, you know, kind of up, on top of the fact that this is already below my eye level, and that just didn't help any. But enough of those excuses. I suck, okay? Now, let's reset. Let's put the target back at 10 yards and let's see how the carry comp does. All right, next up, the Shield Plus carry comp. Uh-oh. Oh boy. Yeah, one of the rounds nosedive on it. All right, let's check the target. All right, so we got a lot of low left. Hold on, I don't know if you can see that. All right, so we got some more low left right here. But with the Shield Plus, we were pretty much in the center ring for the most part. So if you look at both firearms in general, I would say overall between the two, the Shield Plus is the one that I was most consistent with as far as keeping the shots on the target within the rings. Even though the Fuse had the tightest groups at first, it kind of fell apart down here on the back end. So for shootability, I gotta give it to the carry comp. It's more comfortable to shoot, and I was just a bit more consistent with it. Now, in terms of reliability, before then they were running neck and neck, but as you saw, the carry comp, my apologies, did have a malfunction. The round was just nosedived just a little bit inside of the magazine. So, but that's a count. That's a jam in my book. So in terms of shootability, the point is going to go to the carry comp for Smith & Wesson. In terms of reliability, I got to give it to the P365 Fuse. Now, with that out of the way, that's going to end this particular portion of the video. We're going to take it back to the review space and do the more in-depth tabletop comparison between the two. If this is it for you, I definitely appreciate you watching this video. And for all those who want to stay for the remaining portion of the video, come with me to the review space and let's get into the nitty-gritty. All right, y'all, welcome to the review space. Now that we have the shootability and reliability portion, now we're going to take a more in-depth look at these two particular firearms and go through how they measure up to one another. I'm going to try to speed blitz through this particular portion of the video as quickly as I can, especially since this video is already north of 16 minutes long. I'm not trying to keep y'all here all day. But first and foremost, let's verify clear. All right, so Shield Plus is clear, magazine is empty, this gun is safe, and the Fuse is clear, magazine is empty, this particular gun is safe, and we are filming once again in a safe and controlled environment. Now, the next category we're going to talk about the features. And now the features category is broken down into several subcategories, and we're going to go through them really quickly, one by one, and see how they measure up. So the first features category we want to talk about are the sights. Now, both have good sights. I like the blacked out rear sight, front tritium filled front sight for the Shield Plus here. And I do like the blacked out rear front fiber optic front sight with the SIG Fuse, but being as though these particular guns are marketed more so for concealed carry, I prefer the sights on the M&P versus the SIG. So I'm going to give that particular feature point to the M&P. Next, we're going to talk about the slide serrations. And frankly, I give that point over to the Fuse because these serrations are super aggressive, which I like. Not saying that these aren't good, but these aren't anywhere near as aggressive as that of the Fuse. All right, so that particular feature point is going to go to the Fuse. Next, if you're going to talk about accessory rail, accessory rail. So the Fuse is the only gun that has an accessory rail. So obviously the Fuse will get the feature point for that, and the M&P will not. Next, if you want to talk about ambidextrous controls, neither gun is ambi, so neither gun gets a point in that particular category. Now we come down to the trigger. Both triggers are pulling consistently at about 5.5 pounds, which is fine for concealed carry. I thought that the M&P trigger would be a little lighter, but according to my trigger gauge, it's about the same as the SIG. So the triggers are going to essentially tie out for that particular feature point. And both guns are clearly optics ready. This has an optic on it, sheer RMSC footprint, in case you wanted to know. This is already cut for your optic, and this, if you put an optic on this, it'll direct mount just like that of the SIG. So both get a point for that particular feature point. Next, let's talk about the features of the barrel. So the SIG Fuse has a standard 4.3-inch barrel. It's good enough barrel, you know, it gets the job done. This particular gun, as you can see, you got that little port right there. So That port helps the gun to shoot a little softer. Therefore, this particular firearm will get the feature point for that particular category. And when it comes to modularity, that should be pretty obvious. This is a modular handgun through and through. So this gun gets the point for modularity, while this, obviously, what you see is kind of what you get. With all of that being said, I have to give the feature point to the SIG overall because it just took more categories. Next, let's talk about ammo capacity. Now, when it comes to ammo capacity, basically you just take the total amount of rounds that you can carry on your person when you first buy the gun. Both guns come with 3 magazines. The M&P comes with a 15 rounder, a 13 rounder, and a 10 rounder, while the Fuse comes with a 17 rounder and 2 21 rounders. So math being what it is, ammo capacity easily goes to the SIG P365 Fuse. Next, let's talk about the weight of each firearm. Now, in terms of the weight, I've already weighed both of these pistols fully loaded. Now, fully loaded with the 15 round magazine, the Shield Plus carry comp clocks in at roughly 28.64 ounces. While the P365 Fuse, if you subtract the 0.8 ounce weight for the red dot itself, clocks in at 30.13 ounces loaded. So in terms of weight, the M&P is lighter, and it's going to make it a little easier to carry all day. So that particular point goes to the Shield Plus. Now, when it comes to concealability, that's where the Shield Plus actually shines, because you get shorter magazines, such as you got the 13 rounder. You can actually reduce the length of your grip to make this easier to conceal, while as with the P365 you can't. The only way you could do that is you change the entire grip module. So, and not only that, even with the 15 round magazine inserted, if you look at the overall grip dimensions, they look like they're about the same, but you still got the magazine well for the Fuse. And the slide is ever so slightly, I don't know if y'all can see that, but the slide is ever so slightly shorter. Not by a whole lot. But the point is, you're still going to get the point for concealability with this, because like I said, you could put a shorter magazine in there and reduce this profile immediately. Whereas with the Fuse, you're not doing that. You got to change the grip module. So for concealability, that point goes to the M&P. Next, let's talk about ergonomics. I mean, ergonomics is one of those subjective things. I mean, they both feel good in the hand in different ways, but I gotta say the Fuse actually feels better in my hand, to be perfectly honest. While I do like the grip on the Shield Plus, it has that extra width this way, which really helps me to wrench down on it. If I put a shorter mag in here, I'm getting that little bit of a pinky hang off. And if I put the 10 rounder on here, I can forget it. And definitely, like right now, it's just not happening. Whereas with this, I can get a full grip on this and I'm good, I'm solid, regardless of what magazine I put in there. So in terms of ergonomics, I gotta go with the Fuse on this one. So when it comes to MSRP, the MSRP on the Shield Plus carry comp clocks in at about $649-ish. Whereas the Fuse clocks in at about $699-ish, just under 700 bills, okay? That puts this as the slightly cheaper option, and when it comes to MSRP, I gotta give the point over to the Shield Plus. Now, when it comes to aftermarket support, that's a bit of an interesting one, because both platforms are well supported in the aftermarket. I mean, the M&P line, hell, the Shield Plus line has been out for some years now, just like the P365. So you could find holsters, sights, all kinds of things. But the thing about it, and why I have to give the point over to the P365, there is just so much crap out there in the aftermarket for the P365. Like, you got different back straps, you got different grip modules, you have aluminum grips, you have all different kinds of things, mag welds, etc. Like there's just so much out there for the Shield, not for the Shield, sorry, for the P365 platform. Like it's really no contest as far as aftermarket support, just based on that. So I have to give the aftermarket support over to the P365 Fuse. Last thing is going to bring us to the value for the money. I think both guns give you a lot of value at the price point that they're coming in at. They do what they're supposed to do, and they do it well. And like I said, you could find a lot of things for both, a lot of aftermarket items for both. And you get a lot of performance from both. But I have to give the point to the Fuse, even though there is a slightly more expensive option. Like I said, there's just so much more that you could do with this gun as opposed to this particular gun. Now, sure, you could change out the trigger, you could put some handle-it grips on here. You know, there are different things that you can do, but you're just not beating the a P365 in terms of the different things that you could do. You could take this fire control unit out, especially since it's the serialized portion of the gun, put a new barrel and slide and grip, and basically build a whole new handgun just out of with that fire control unit. You're not doing that with this particular gun. So in terms of overall value for the money, I have to give it to the SIG P365 here. All right, so now let's recap. For shootability, the Shield Plus carry comp gets the point for that. In terms of reliability, we did have that one bobble for the Shield Plus. So the Fuse gets the point for the reliability. In terms of the feature set, ammo capacity, the Fuse gets the point in both of those categories, while in terms of weight and concealability, the Shield Plus gets the point for both of those categories. Ergonomics, I gave the point to the P365 Fuse. And in terms of MSRP, that point goes to the Shield Plus just because it's slightly cheaper than the P365 Fuse. Aftermarket support, there's really no contest. P365 Fuse gets the point there. And in terms of the value add for the money, I had to give the point to the P365 Fuse just because there's so much more that you can do with that versus the Shield Plus, which brings us to a grand total of 4 for the Shield Plus carry comp and 6 for the P365 Fuse. And we're back. So the winner of this versus is the SIG P365 Fuse. And before I did this, I really wasn't sure which particular gun was going to win the versus video. They both have their strengths and their weaknesses in different areas. And but one thing I did know that the Shield Plus was a softer and better shooter, at least in my opinion, because of that comp barrel, ported barrel, my apologies. So with that being said, I think that they're both solid choices. Whichever choice that you ultimately decide to go with, I think you're going to make a good, solid choice. I would just say, like I always tell everybody, try before you buy. If you can rent the firearm, or if you could try out a buddy's firearm, maybe they own one, and just get a good feel of it first before you decide to make that purchase. I 10 out of 10 recommend try before you buy. Now, when it comes to the operator's choice between the two, that's a bit of a tough one because, like I said, I enjoy both. And I like both for different reasons, but if I had to pick one, and if I could only pick one, I would have to go with the Shield Plus on this one. Mainly because this particular gun for me is more comfortable to shoot, it's easier to carry all day. I can shorten the grip just by putting a shorter magazine in the particular gun and carry the 15 rounders as a backup. And, you know, that's just where I'm at with it. I was more consistent with this. I was just better with this. That's not to say that I don't like the Fuse. I really like my Fuse, a little snappy son of a gun. But this one, when it comes to a daily EDC, if I had to pick one, it would be this one. Now, what do y'all think about the Shield Plus carry comp and the P365 Fuse? Let me know down in the comments section, y'all. Let's get this discussion popping. If you think that there's a Micro 9 that's better than both of those, let me know down in the comment section below. And with that, y'all, I'm gonna turn you loose. This is your big homie, the armchair operator, and I'm signing out, y'all. Peace.